One smile is great, but one smile in a community of smiles is so much better. Smile Train celebrates the cleft lip and palate community by empowering medical professionals in over 70 countries to perform essential cleft care in their local communities. Learn how Smile Train is helping the cleft lip and palate community at smiletrain.org/learn. Smile Train, changing the world one smile at a time.
Hey y'all, I'm Blake Shelton. Being from Oklahoma, I know a thing or two about natural disasters. Tornadoes are common where I'm from and have affected my life and the lives of people I care about. No matter where you live, be aware of the dangers in your area and have a plan. You can create an emergency kit, come up with an evacuation plan, and know where to seek shelter. You never know when a disaster may hit. These simple steps can help save a life. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
At OEC and OEC Fiber, we are managed and operated by employees who embody local and reliable service to the communities where we live and work. Our electric and fiber services reliability, along with our unmatched member service and subscriber support, will be unlike anything you've seen or experienced before. Together, we are reinvesting in Oklahoma by bringing reliable electric and high-speed fiber services to our communities, homes, businesses, and schools. ODC and OEC Fiber, the power of connection.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510. Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings Studios, it's time to get locked in to the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
You know, we joked about it a few times last week heading into the game, but I don't think any of us thought that it was going to happen for the third consecutive year. Remember what we were joking about? Week 2 so far, the Brent Venables era has been kind of tough. Week 2, for whatever reason, OU was only up 7-3 against Kent State at halftime. It was a 3-point game against SMU early in the fourth quarter. Week 2's been tough. I didn't think Week 2 was going to be tough this year. And that was the worst Week 2 that we've seen so far in the past 3 years. And like Brent Venables said, that football team probably should have gotten beat on Saturday. So what is it again, man, with Week 2? Because Week 2 felt like a big setback, and I was hoping this team would look a lot better than Week 1, you know, improve from Week 1 to Week 2. That did not look like an improved football team on the offensive side of the ball, Parker Thune.
No, they regressed substantially from Week 1. And the thing is, I guess there are two sides to this coin, Tyler. A, there was no singular issue. There were a lot of issues.
Yes.
B, I guess if you're looking to put an optimistic spin on this, all of the issues are fixable, right? It's not.
I hope so.
Yeah. All of the issues are fixable, but the fact remains you have to actually go and fix them. And that's the challenge for this team as they prepare for what ought to be a legitimately upset-minded Tulane team coming to Norman this weekend.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Tulane's going to come into Norman on Saturday thinking that they can absolutely beat you. And maybe they didn't need to watch the game film against Houston to think that, but now they really think it after what you look like offensively. And what you said there in the beginning is totally true, man, and what I said on the postgame show. And I've been listening to the station all day long. I've heard criticism on Jackson Arnold. I wish that was the only issue with the offense right now.
Yeah.
I've heard criticism about the offensive line. I wish that was the only issue with the offense right now. I've heard criticism about the wide receivers. I wish that was the only issue. I've heard criticism about Seth Luttrell. I wish that was the only issue. There's a couple of bright spots on this offense, and I think it's still Deion Burks and then what you're getting out of the tight end position right now. But it's just an offense that's out of sync. It's an offense that, sadly, I don't really know what their identity is through 2 games either. Like, What are they trying to do? What are they? What are they trying to be? Because to me, it's an offense that goes way too fast and there's way too many 3-and-outs. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
And there are a few things that you have to get figured out before you can build toward being not only forget having an elite offense at this point. You got to have a competent offense first.
Yeah.
And right now, I don't even know that this offense is that, at least not from what we've seen through 2 weeks. What you need to do in an immediate sense, where the immediate focus should lie, Tyler, is on figuring it out up front until Branson Hickman can get back. And I do think Branson Hickman is going to help if and when he is back in the starting lineup for Oklahoma. But until then, you got to figure it out. You got to come up with some arrangement of 5 dudes that can open holes for the running backs and keep the pocket clean for Jackson Arnold. You have got to get better play from Jackson Arnold. Like, he's got to get out of his own head.
Yep.
And it was clear on Saturday that he was in his own head. And say what you will about the offensive line, say what you will about the lack of help at wide receiver, and admittedly those 2 things are not helping. I hope we can all see that. But Jackson Arnold and some of the throws he made throughout the evening, there's nowhere that you can point the finger but directly at him, especially on some of those deep shots that were nowhere close to the intended receiver.
They've given up 6 sacks in 2 games. They are 79th in the country in rushing yards. They are 109th in the country in passing yards. They are 108th in the country in total offense. They are 131st in third down conversions. I will remind everyone that 133 teams play major college football, and OU is 131st right now in third down conversions. Here's the thing. We don't need rushing yards and passing yards and total offense and third down conversions. You don't need those to be in the top 5. You don't need those to be in the top 10 or the top 15. You just need it to be good. You just need this offense to be good. You don't need it to be elite. But with the defense that you have, you just need this offense to be solid, to be good, and that's going to be good enough for this team to have a lot of success. But they're not a good offense right now. And there was one drive. I mean, there's a lot offensively that, I did not like on Saturday. But I think the single drive that really angered me the most, and I'm sure a lot of you know exactly where I'm going here, it's early in the fourth quarter when you get an interception on a 3rd and long. You take over at the Houston 32-yard line. And here's the deal, man. Like, there are even if you have an elite offense, and we've seen this in the past, even when you have an elite offense, you can't hit on all cylinders every single quarter of every single game. There are games where you just don't have it, but then maybe the defense gives you some momentum, and a good offense takes advantage of those situations. Here's what OU did, up 14-12 early in the fourth, after the defense got a big interception, and you got the ball in Houston territory at the 33-yard line. Barnes rushes for 1 yard, Jackson Arnold incomplete pass, and then they go a quarterback draw on 3rd and 11 and get 5 yards. That was maybe the biggest momentum shift in the game. And they missed the field goal after that.
Correct.
That should have been the moment where, okay, Houston hung tough for a while. You weren't good offensively up until this point, but the talent took over. This Oklahoma team took over. They got the pick. They went down and scored quick, and maybe they piled up a couple of touchdowns late, and they end up winning the game by 17 points, whatever. But they didn't do that. Man, they went 3 and out, missed a field goal.
And that was kind of the conversation that we were all having after the SMU game last year, Tyler, was, well, they played with their food for longer than they should have. But when it counted, they poured it on, and they ended up winning that game by 17 points.
Yeah.
But they had to hold on for dear life all the way up until the end in this one, Tyler.
It's that word that we've been using for a couple of years now, complimentary. How many times we've been talking about complimentary football?
Yeah. Well, and the defense played complimentary football on Saturday night. The offense did not. The offense hung that defense out to dry. You look up, and Oklahoma starts intentionally chewing clock offensively with about 7 minutes left in the game. But up until that point, Tyler, up until that point in the football game, Oklahoma's offense had been on the field for all of 17 minutes.
Yep.
17 minutes.
And I think maybe my biggest concern of the entire team is exactly what you said, is that I think you have a side of the football that's good.
Yep.
I think you have one side of the football that's really good. And I had high expectations going into the year. And once again, I'm not lessening any of my expectations after 2 games. I mean, I think this defense I don't think it's the best in the country or better than Georgia's in the SEC, but I think it's good enough to get you where you want to be. I think it's really good. Not only is this offense not moving the ball consistently, not scoring enough points, this offense right now is a detriment to your best side of the football because it consistently puts the defense in tough situations. And when the defense comes up and gets a big play, gets a good turnover, the offense isn't efficient enough to take advantage of the situation that your defense is providing for you. And it's losing the time of possession battle like they did at an incredible rate on Saturday, and you're not even putting your better side of the football in a good situation right now. They've just – a lot's got to happen offensively, man. A lot in a hurry.
Somebody in the 580 said, put the 3 freshman linemen in. They can't be any worse. Are you sure about that? Because what were so many folks saying at this time last year? Just fire Jeff Lebby. Have Seth Luttrell call plays. He can't be any worse. Get Dylan Gabriel out of there. Put Jackson Arnold in. He can't be any worse. No, it can always be worse. It can always be worse. And trust me, the guys that are starting up front for Oklahoma right now are starting for a reason. And if you suck, then guess what? You get shuffled down to the back of the line. For instance, Bill Bedenbaugh had an opportunity to put Spencer Brown back in the game on Saturday because Jake Taylor left the game.
Yeah.
Instead, thankfully, mercifully, Bill Bedenbaugh had the same takeaway from week 1 that all of us did, which is Spencer Brown never needs to touch the field again at the University of Oklahoma.
They do agree with that.
And he moved Michael Tarquin to right tackle and inserted a redshirt freshman in Logan Howland at left tackle. So that, to me, is the preeminent concern heading into SEC play because you're going to get Nick Anderson back at a certain point, right? You're going to get Nick Anderson back. You don't have to worry about that. Within the next couple of weeks, he's going to be a full go again. And you know at some point down the line, Jalil Farouk will return. Yes, that's somewhere in the distant future, relatively distant, I should say. But you know you're going to get right again at wide receiver. Andrell Anthony is going to start contributing as well. And everything ought to be okay in that department. Maybe not great, but okay. Things ought to become stable there. But I don't know what the recipe looks like, and I don't know how you can know what the recipe looks like for Oklahoma up front, the winning recipe. It certainly includes Branson Hickman. I don't think you can have strong offensive line play without a dude at the center position, and that's what Branson Hickman is. I think he immediately and significantly improves your offensive line in an overall sense. But does he solve all of your problems up front?
Nope.
Nope.
He
Certainly
does
not.
But you got to have him back. You got to have him back for sure. 405-651-3439. Text or rolling in. YouTube live comments or rolling in right now. KREF Sports. Go subscribe to our YouTube page. We're going to hit as many texts and many responses as we can this hour. KW the 918. Sad fact none of us want to face. OU football is just a bad product across the board right now. Oof. On the field, they have talent, but they're undisciplined, make mental mistakes galore, injuries aplenty, no identity on offense, lack of playmakers, O-line is even worse than we feared. It would all be off-season, but they appear to be good enough on D to at least give us hope so far. But hey, let's throw the true freshman quarterback in there. That will fix everything, SMH. They don't look like they are having any fun right now, just tense and pressure with everything they're doing. You know, K-Dub hit on the not disciplined thing. That's one of the more surprising things this deep into this tenure that has not gone the way that I thought it would go. And I know that we're really highlighting Josh Bates' penalty late in the game, but that's about as undisciplined as you can ask for in that spot.
Kendall Dolby had a dumb one, too.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a little bit of overreach by the officials there, but even so, you can't give them any reason. And so, yeah, that has to go away. That has to go away. You can't be giving the opposition freebies. And Oklahoma gave Houston too many freebies. It didn't end up costing them in the end. They won the football game. But Dolby's penalty in particular, that was going to be 4th and forever for Houston. It was like 4th and 26 or something. And all of a sudden, unsportsmanlike conduct, and they get a new set of downs. Yeah, stuff like that can't happen because you have a very small margin for error as a football team right now as it is until you get back close to full health. You cannot afford to jeopardize any amount of that margin with stupid penalties.
Greg from Lawton, no doubt a bad game on offense. Still, just one game that was a victory. How OU responds Saturday is the key. Let's keep our heads and hearts positive. The season is not lost. JFA is allowed to get better. Boomer. Well, they got to respond on Saturday, because if they don't, they can lose this football game on Saturday. I'll tell you, Greg, all of that is true. It is just one game, and it was a victory. But, man, what you just completed on the schedule is the easiest two-game stretch that you're going to have for the rest of the year. At no other point the rest of the year will you have an easier two-game stretch than what you just played. Now, Maine is later in the schedule, yes, but you got an SEC game before that, and you got an SEC game after that. Not only will the two-game stretches be more difficult moving forward, they're going to be significantly more difficult moving forward. And, the Monday after week 2, we should be in here today talking about the offense and how efficient it looks and the identity and how much confidence Jackson Arnold has. And that's where I have real concern is, yes, it's early in the season. Yes, he and the rest of the offense is allowed to get better, but they're going to have to get better against much more competent foes, including this Tulane team that looked good against Kansas State and a Tennessee team that was one of the most impressive teams in college football this past weekend.
And, again, maybe this sounds like sunshine pumping. Maybe this sounds like trying to inject optimism where there ought not to be any. But maybe that helps Oklahoma rise to the occasion. Maybe knowing that they need to play a complete football game on both sides for all 60 minutes. Maybe standing across from a team like Tennessee or a team like Alabama or even South Carolina, for that matter, a team where you look across the field and they have the same caliber athlete in a median sense as you do. Maybe that helps this program kick it into fifth gear. Maybe they just haven't gotten to fifth gear yet. Maybe they checked the box on the Houston game. They saw UNLV beat them 27-7, figured, all right, we can throw this one in the win column, and Tulane too while we're at it, and we'll just start prepping for Tennessee. Maybe that was the collective mentality. I don't know. Whatever the case, you can't look past Tulane this weekend, that's for sure, because that team's going to come in with an upset on their mind. And then from there, it's the gauntlet. So that's where it begins.
We were having conversations about the offense last Monday, but with our conversations about the offense, it was, well, they've got to get better, but they've got a deadline date of September 21st. September 21st that's the big test. That's when you've got to be ready. You can go through some things and figure out some things, but by September 21st, you better be ready to go. That deadline has been moved up a week after this past Saturday. No longer do you have until September 21st to have your stuff ready. You better be ready this Saturday on September 14th, or you can lose that football game, man. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Cam says Sawchuk, WTH is up with him. What do you have, 4 carries for 4 yards, 5 carries for 5 yards? I think it's pretty obvious they think Barnes is their best running back right now.
Yeah, Sawchuk just hasn't been great. And it's weird. It's really weird because the Sawchuk that we saw going into the final – well, I shouldn't say going into – but over the second half of the season last year, Gavin Sawchuk looked like one of the best running backs in the nation and played like one of the best running backs in the nation. And so I and many others had the expectation that, all right, going into 2024, you got your bell cow back. You got a stud at running back again. You got a guy that you can count on. You pencil him in for 100, 150 yards every single week. And it's just not there right now for Gavin Sawchuk. I think Taylor Tatum has looked like the most impressive back in the entire backfield.
There's 1 carry on Saturday. That's got to change. And I think that is going to change on Saturday, if I had to guess. 405-651-3439, Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We'll get back to that. Cortez Mills was in Lincoln, Nebraska. What does that look like moving forward? Oh, boy. Big hour of Locked In with McComas and Thune coming your way right here on the Ref.
Sooner fans, show your Sooner pride. Crafted for SEC competition. Every OU fan should own a piece of Sooner Magic. Made in America, like it should be. Get your official on-field OU football today.
Hey Sooner Nation, join me Mondays at 7:45 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:45 p.m. exclusively on the Ref. Download the K-Ref app to listen from anywhere.
KREF and get your piece of Sooner history today. How about this? We're hanging out with the winningest coach in OU football history, Bob Stoops, Mondays on the T-Row in the Morning Show. It's the Stoops Review with the HBC on the T-Row Show, Mondays from 7:45 to 8:30 with limited commercial interruption. Every Monday, we'll be looking back at Saturday's OU game with a guy who knows what he's looking at. Bob Stoops, the Visor, the HBC on our show every Monday. Check it out.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hey Sooner fans, this is Olivia Troutman, 4-time NCAA champion with the Oklahoma gymnastics team. Season tickets are now available featuring an exciting SEC schedule. Go to Soonersports.com to get your tickets. And don't forget to become a member of Team 10 to support OU women's gymnastics and receive unique experiences and special access to the team. Team 10 supports our team above and beyond anything I could have ever dreamed. Go to Soonersports.com to get your season tickets and become a member of Team 10 today. Boomer!
My son Ian was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 16 months. We had no hope until St. Jude rescued us. He's alive because of what St. Jude has done. He's here because of the doctors who came before, their blood, their sweat, their tears, the knowledge accumulated and shared, with everyone else around the world. This is how we help kids beat cancer all over.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
We tend not to think about right now, but right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. When you give to the V Foundation, 100% of your donation goes directly to game-changing cancer research. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you. Donate at V.org, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Locked in with McComas and Thune, live on the ref. We're the home of Sooner fans. Tyler McComas, Parker Thune. Vibe check. SEC vibe check, according to The Athletic. Here's what they say about Oklahoma, who they have as the 9th best team in the SEC this week in their power rankings. It says beat Houston 16-12. A 4-point win? Half the cushion via a safety? Over a team that lost at home to UNLV by 20? Brent Venables saying we deserve to lose twice? Hey, UNLV might be pretty good. Jackson Arnold looks okay. The Sooners will be okay, right? Looking around, right? So apparently that's the vibe check as the Athletic sees it. They're saying they're going to be good, right? Right? Looking around to see if anyone else agrees right now. Big next 2 weeks. Big next 3 weeks, but big couple of weeks coming up here. Week 3 and week 4. Big weeks for this football team for sure. So I asked our YouTube chat to give me something positive about the offense, and I would read it this segment. Here is what they said. Someone just said, hey, they got to win. That's good enough for me right now. Which, to that point, at least you weren't Notre Dame this weekend. There's maybe the biggest positive of all. Notre Dame would have loved an ugly 4-point win. 1984 OU won says, here's the positive, OU won the game. 2-star Taylor said Jake Roberts is a cool story. Getting his first touchdown, that was a positive. I think the tight end play overall has been a positive. It's significantly better than it was last year, and you have more than one player at that spot that you feel good about. Tommy Gallego says, honest to goodness, we get the O-line back to where they have been getting reps, we'll be better. How much of this offense, how much will that help things out if they can just get healthy on the offensive line and get their best 5 in? Does that solve the entire issue? What does that really get you as things stand right now?
I don't really know, Tyler, and obviously it helps. obviously getting your A team back on the offensive line is going to provide a lift to this team, but it's also tough to gauge how much having that A team back in place boosts Jackson Arnold's confidence. Like, are the confidence issues that were very obviously there on Saturday more due to the fact that the O-line play is shoddy right now, or due to the fact that got a whole bunch of wide receivers out there that you don't really know whether you can trust or not? Or is it just the pressure of playing quarterback at the University of Oklahoma that's getting to Jackson Arnold? Whatever the case may be, Jackson Arnold has to improve. And until that happens, this offense's ceiling is going to be considerably limited. I think the primary limiting factor, and it's close, but I would say the thing that's going to hold this offense back is inconsistent play from Jackson Arnold, followed closely by inconsistent play from the offensive line and lack of continuity there.
Larry says the tight end play has been steady. Lincoln Riley's Brisket says Spencer Brown needs to play more. Zach Reynolds says one positive for the offense is they get off the field so fast we don't have to watch them for very long. Yeah, buddy, we're getting positive today on the YouTube chat. Let's go. Yes. Alan says positive. I would assume most of them had their shoes on the proper feet. Helmets seem to be facing the proper direction. Sooner Jet says there were several rushes where Barnes was running with violent tendencies. That was a positive. I would guess that Barnes and Tatum could be your 1 and 2 running backs here moving forward. Wouldn't be shocked at all if Barnes is your starter on Saturday.
Boy. Imagine that. Who would have thought that going into the season by week 3 we'd be saying, yeah, Sawchuk might be RB3. But that's where we're at. And hopefully a lot of this is just early season overreaction, Tyler.
God, I hope, man, but that's the worst two teams.
Hopefully a lot of the stuff that we saw against Houston on Saturday is a blip and not a trend. But I guess what's compounding upon this is that, yes, the Sooners did beat Temple 51-3, but it wasn't a thoroughly dominant 51-3. It was a 51-3 that you walked away from going, okay, I mean, they played fine, but 6 turnovers definitely helped, and you're not going to get 6 turnovers every week.
You know, I know on that 3rd and 11, they just called a quarterback draw for Jackson Arnold, and it got 5 yards early in the 4th quarter after that interception. But if this offense is not going to Burks, like, let's just throw out a scenario. This is just a way to basically ask you which wide receiver you have the most confidence in right now outside Burks. Let's say it's a 3rd and 6, a critical 3rd and 6, and for whatever reason, Burks isn't in the game. Who should they draw up a play for in that spot if Burks for some reason isn't out on the field or wasn't out on the field? Bauer Sharp, Jake Roberts,
I mean,
the tight ends.
After Jake Roberts' performance, maybe Jake Roberts is the answer. But I don't know. Here's something I had the conscious thought about over the weekend, Tyler. How much is this offense missing Drake Stoops right now?
A lot, man.
Just a guy that can go work the middle of the field, create separation. He's going to have strong hands.
Well, he was money on 3rd down, and that's the offense.
Exactly.
One of the biggest issues right now is 3rd down.
To me, forget shots at this point. It'd be great to see Oklahoma take some shots downfield and hit on them. But right now, what this offense would love to have is somebody that can go get you a 9-yard reception and move the chains. And that's what Drake Stoops excelled at.
Yeah, I thought, if nothing else, because going into this season, my biggest concern was the offensive line. I did not expect to have these conversations heading into week 3 against opponents like Temple and Houston. I thought that maybe we could have some real concerns with the offensive line, but that wouldn't happen until later in SEC play. I didn't think that we would be here right now. But I thought, okay, well, the offensive line with a young quarterback, that could cause some issues at times. But, man, if nothing else, they're going to be a big play offense, and I feel confident about that. They're going to hit on throws down the field because that's where Jackson Arnold's really good. They've got a lot of wide receivers that can stretch the field, and, man, they are not a big play offense right now. They are not a big play offense in the passing game. They're not a big play offense in the running game, and I thought that they were going to be that this year. And there's time to be that. There's definitely time to start hitting on big plays. through the first 2 games of the year, man, they've been everything just seems so difficult for this offense right now, doesn't it?
Does.
Nothing is coming easy for them.
G Money from Kansas says, at least we can count on Keltner to hit a field goal when we need it.
Like you said last hour, 75% in his career, right?
Yep.
3 for 3 in the first game, and the 75% showed up on Saturday.
He was due.
Man, Sam from Wayne, dude, we miss Drake Stoops as much for his blocking outside as we do him being the go-to. Cody Mayo, we were sold continuity with the new OCs, and in 8 months, we've somehow become a shell of the inconsistencies that there were last year. I've read a lot of mean things this weekend. I've read a lot of mean things about the quarterback and the OC and the O-line coach and the offensive line. But the meanest thing that I've read on social media, text line, wherever, was immediately after the game during the post-game show on Saturday night. Someone called OU Red Iowa offensively. That's the meanest thing that I've seen posted anywhere. Red Iowa after 2 games? Jeez.
Well, let's see. Let's see what the common denominators are. Awesome defense? Check. Offense that can't move the football? Thus far. Also check. Punter might be the best player on the team? Yep, 3 for 3.
Yeah, when's Luke Elzinga going to win an SEC Player of the Week award?
Yeah,
It's close.
Who won Punter of the Week if not Luke Elzinga?
Isn't that crazy, though, is that, we're sitting here after week 2. I think there's a lot of people that are panicked. And SEC, the OU's had 2 players that have been all SEC for it was Grayson Halton today, and it was your kicker Tyler Keltner the week before. Just strange that you've gotten those conference awards, yet you're sitting here today with the feelings that you have.
I've always said that the first 2 Sooners to strike fear into the hearts of the rest of the SEC would be Tyler Keltner and Grayson Halton.
Is he your stock up on Grayson Halton?
Yeah, stock way up.
I mean, he's been one of your biggest positives so far. Maybe he's right there at the top of biggest positives throughout the first 2 games. That guy's good.
I feel great for G-Baby, man, because I talked a lot about him in the offseason, and there were others that talked a lot about him in the offseason because what you've noticed over the last couple of years is when he's been in the football game, which has been sporadic generally, but when he's been in the game, he has made plays. The question you had going into this year was, with all of the ammunition that OU brought in on the defensive line, were there going to be any more opportunities for Grayson Halton in 2024 relative to his first couple of years in an Oklahoma uniform? Well, with what he's done through the first 2 weeks of the season, Tyler, he's created more opportunities for himself.
So Parker and I both have our Van Hoos Fence polos on today, vhfence.com. We've worn them every single show for a week now. I'm changing my mind. I said last week that I'm going to wash this polo when OU gets another 2025 commit. I might wash this polo when OU's first-team offense is able to score 10 or more points in the second half. That's where I might finally wash this polo. Hopefully I'm able to wash it next Monday, but I guess we'll see because the second-half offense on Saturday was bad, was real bad.
The Sooners didn't score any offensive points for the final 42 minutes of this football game.
Yikes.
Your leading scorer, your only scorer over that span of time was Grayson Halton.
Boomer Brady, unfortunately, it's been a perfect storm for the offense. Freshman quarterback with little college experience, plus offensive line early NFL departures. Transfer and injuries, plus injuries to our most experienced wide receivers, plus new offensive coordinators who are trying to gain experience as well, equals a really bad situation. I know there's a lot going on there, but again, I still think that they should move the ball consistently against a team like Houston.
A listener in Kansas asks, who coaches QBs? Do we have an actual QB coaching QBs? Listen, I don't have authoritative knowledge of every single FBS staff, but I will say this. I would be surprised if there is a quarterback room in the country that has more oversight than the Oklahoma quarterback room, because Seth Littrell, your offensive coordinator, is the quarterback's coach in principle. You also have Kevin Johns, longtime former Power 4 OC, that works primarily with the quarterbacks as an offensive analyst. You have Jack Lowry, himself a former Power 4 quarterback, that works a lot with the quarterbacks. He's a quarterbacks, I don't know if he's a GA or just an analyst, but Jack Lowry works a lot with the quarterbacks. You have Ty Hatcher, a former FCS quarterback at Samford, I believe, that is also employed by this university to work with quarterbacks. So you have no less than 4 guys who spend a lot of time with these quarterbacks.
Camo Sooner, good news. Good news, guys. This is it. This is the year we finally claim that Ray Guy award. Lloyd says, enough snowflake bandwagon whining. Give the kid a chance. 405, who the hell is the left tackle number 60 on the Cowboys, and where the hell was this last year? 405, we look like Texas Tech for 15 years. Now we're changing to Iowa, which the YouTube chat is pushing back on that. No. We ain't Iowa. Iowa can actually run the football. We ain't Iowa.
Oh, man.
So apparently not even as good as Iowa is right now.
Cody asks, odds that the offensive game plan was so vanilla to keep stuff hidden from the SEC that it led to a ton of inconsistency. You can't convince me that they tried to keep it vanilla for all 60 minutes on Saturday. Like, by the third quarter, when it had become clear that offense had ground to a halt, if they were still playing vanilla football at that point, you would think the gloves would have come off.
Matt from Moore, our offensive line didn't really come into its own until the Texas game last year when they put Green in at guard. Do you think when Hickman comes back from injury, moving Sexton to tackle and maybe playing EPL at guard will make this offensive line better?
I think Jake Sexton needs to play left tackle. I've said this for a while. I think, if nothing else, you need to ensure that Jackson Arnold's blind side is protected and that he doesn't have to worry about an opposing edge rusher breathing down his neck on every single snap. But then the question becomes, who plays left guard? And you're either taking a shot in the dark with a true freshman like EPL who might be the next Caden Green, or he just might be a freshman that's in over his head at this point in his career and at this point in his development. Or like when Troy Everett gets back healthy, maybe you throw him out there at left guard. Maybe that's the option that you roll with, and perhaps that allows you to slide Sexton back out to left tackle. But any way you slice it, man, there's going to be one position, at least one position on this offensive line that you are just not really sure about.
JP Sooner, can we just say we won ugly for Bud? Drink a 12er of Schooners and move on, LOL. Yeah, 16-12. That was probably a score that you would have seen in that era. And that's fine, man. I am okay with winning ugly. If that's what it takes this year, I am okay with winning ugly. But you didn't win 16-12 against Houston or against Tennessee or Texas or Alabama. You won 16-12 against a bad Houston team. So I'm down to win ugly, but I'm down to win ugly against the good teams that you play on your schedule, not the bad teams that you play on your schedule. That's not sustainable the way that they won that football game on Saturday nights.
Russ from Memphis asks, who are the guys you just referenced as QB coaches, analysts? Never heard of them. Can we not get a real QB coach? Well, what do you consider a real QB coach to be? As I said, right now you have actually 5 guys that are working with the quarterbacks most specifically at practice. Seth Luttrell, your offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach of record. Kevin Johns, offensive analyst, longtime former P4 coordinator. Jack Lowry, former P4 quarterback. Ty Hatcher, former FCS quarterback. And I neglected to mention the first time around that they also have J.P. Lossman, who was a former first-round pick as a quarterback. So I don't think it's for lack of oversight that Oklahoma will ever experience struggles at the quarterback position.
Text Groove, I have the official number this hour since 2 p.m. You want to guess how many texts we've gotten this hour since 2 p.m.? You have a number in mind?
350.
252.
Oh, okay.
250. We might get to 300. We got one more segment left, so let's try to get to 350 by the top of the hour. We're at 252 right now. 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. I promise we'll bring up Cortez Mills, the 4-star wide receiver, coming up next. More OU football as well right here on the Ref.
Sooner fans, show your Sooner pride. Crafted for SEC competition. Every OU fan should own a piece of Sooner magic. Made in America, like it should be. Get your official on-field OU football today.
Hey, Sooner Nation, join me Mondays at 7:45 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:45 p.m. exclusively on the Ref. Download the KREF app to listen from anywhere.
An SUV or anything in between, we have a huge selection available. And right now, during our back-to-school sales event, you can score an incredible 0% APR for up to 72 months. It's the perfect time to upgrade your ride and start the school year right. With approved credit through Toyota Financial, stock number N241352. Offer valid through September 3rd, 2024.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
It's back! The Honey Pepper Pimento Sandwich at the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A in Norman now comes with an original or spicy filet, pimento cheese, mild pickled jalapenos, and a drizzle of honey on a toasted bun. Chick-fil-A is your place for tailgates, team meals, birthdays, celebrations, and all your catering needs. Sandwiches, nuggets, delicious sauces, and gallons of lemonade and tea. Call the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A in Norman today at 405-310-3189. Eat more chicken and boomers sooner.
Life can be complicated, but saving money shouldn't be. At OU Federal Credit Union, they make saving simple and stress-free. The best part? They have no hidden fees. Joining OUFCU means you're in control of your financial future. Whether it's a rainy day fund or saving for that dream vacation, they've got you covered. Visit OUFCU.com or come by one of their branches today. OU Federal Credit Union, where savings is simple and dreams come true. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by the NCUA.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
They say if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait 5 minutes and check it again. Nope, not there yet. Ah, that's more like it. Being comfortable is important, and if it's -5 degrees or 100 degrees, Norman Air has you covered. Our impeccable quality and unbeatable service is what sets us apart from our competitors. It's just part of our mission to keep Oklahoma comfortable. Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center is one of the leaders in orthopedics and podiatry surgery in the state. With 6 orthopedic surgeons and 1 podiatrist, along with on-site PT and one of the largest open MRIs in the state, they are able to diagnose, treat, and help with recovery for a wide range of injuries. With offices located across the state, they are never too far away. Give them a call at 405-364-7900 or visit them on the web at orthonorman.com for appointments or more information.
Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno bring this hour locked in with McComas and Thune. Dorsey Jones is family owned and operated, established in 2020, but many of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. Their low-pressure environment creates an enjoyable experience for everyone, and their sales staff is knowledgeable and eager to assist you before and after the buying process. They have all that and incredible pricing as well. Dorsey Jones Buick GMC. I take a lot of screenshots throughout the day. After the show, before the show. It's, all right, I'm not going to get heavy into show prep right now, but I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and then when it is show prep time, I go back on my screenshots and say, oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about that. All that to say, in the middle of the game, I saw a video of Cortez Mills on the sideline in Lincoln, so I went, screenshot. That will be talked about on Monday.
Yeah, and Pastor MC asked earlier in the show, he said, Parker, you as an insider didn't think that Mills was going to make that trip based on what you had heard from the OU end. now that he's made the trip, are things more or less over between him and OU? My answer to that question is yes. I do not think Cortez Mills will wind up signing with Oklahoma because, again, he gave the Oklahoma staff the indication that he was not going to make that trip, and then he made that trip, Tyler.
Yep.
So, 2 + 2 = 4. It doesn't need to be any more nuanced than that.
We haven't seen like a decommit graphic or anything like that. I'm very interested to see how they because here's the thing. They've got their hands full right now on the staff, right? Like Emmett Jones has got his hands full, and not that you totally ignore that situation. Like you've got to address that situation with Cortez Mills however you seem fit, and I'm sure the head coach could be in that decision as well. But it's not like you've just got some easy bye week where you've got some time on your hands. Like, no, there's a lot of urgency to fix this offense right now. So you factor this into the situation. I think it's interesting. Do you think there's a chance here this week that we could see some sort of a decommit graphic or?
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. I don't know what the timeline is as far as when things will happen, but yeah, I don't expect Cortez Mills to wind up in the class. And I did flip my prediction for Christian Jones.
Yeah, that seemed like that was pretty crazy atmosphere up there in Lincoln.
I will be completely transparent. I don't know how any 16, 17-year-old kid could have attended that game in Lincoln on Saturday night and not wanted to commit to Nebraska. Everything about that was just a master class of a showing by Nebraska for their visitors. From the stadium environment to the actual play on the field, there's absolutely no reason why Nebraska shouldn't close out Christian Jones' recruitment and several others as well.
They got that pick six for their second touchdown of the night, and that place was insane. And then they played Shadur Sanders' rap song in the locker room at the end of the game. They trolled pretty hard. There were Nebraska fans yelling at Shadur Sanders.
Dylan did the watch celebration. Did you see that? Man.
Nebraska night. Hey, Matt Rule said, let's be Nebraska nice on Sunday.
And those Nebraska fans delivered. They were not Nebraska
nice
on Saturday.
Nebraska nice on Saturday night, that's for sure.
I love how when OU starts to suck on the field, inevitably the guy that always catches strays is the public address MC guy.
Oh, dude, yes.
The on-field MC. Okie Russ chimed in to say, new complaint, can we stop the cheer-led Let's Go OU four-corner stadium cheer? It's a cringe-worthy, slow, inorganic cheer. At a minimum, speed it up 3 times faster. Better yet, just do a crowd-favorite Boomer Sooner cheer instead. What I thought was hilarious on Saturday and kind of a microcosm of the entire evening was that I believe it was on the safety review. I can't recall exactly what the on-field MC was trying to do. He was trying to organize some chant, and the referee was getting done with the review, and so they had to cut his mic to get to the ref announcing the decision upon replay review to all the fans in attendance. Yeah, the whole on-field MC, he is, and I'm sure he's a great guy. I've never met him personally. Don't know him. And I'm sure it has much less to do with who he is as a person and more about what he's asked to do.
But
he ends up taking so many strays. So many strays when OU isn't playing.
I agree with Okie Russ. The Let's Go OU chant, it doesn't flow well. It's not fast enough. It's Let's Go Oh! It didn't say. I mean, I am all about trying to do some sort of a chant that gets everyone going, but it's just not.
There's a lot about the in-game fan engagement aspect of the whole experience that needs to be reevaluated.
It's our Spencer Brown chant, is what it is. We just got to kind of move on and move forward here and try to figure out something else. 316, I put my survey in last year to stop that chant. LC in Newcastle, exactly. The Let's Go OU chant is so bad. 580, what are our statistics with alternative jerseys? #cursed. Yeah, I guess we got to burn the Bud Wilkinson uniforms, Bud Wilkinson era uniforms after last Saturday.
Which is tough because I loved that look.
I thought it was great.
I loved that
fantastic.
Look.
Thought it was fantastic.
I wouldn't mind him doing it every year.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do that. One Star Porter's Nemesis, any booby updates? Sure, Booby Feaster saw that offense on Saturday, and he was like, I want to be a part of that. They had one good drive on Saturday. Well, one drive where they didn't have a short field to go help them score. One drive.
When a kid is at DeSoto High School and is therefore already basically being hand-delivered to the lap of the University of Texas, that's probably not the type of offensive performance that you would like to showcase for him.
Less than Hayes, Kansas. Emmett needs to kick some of these receivers in the ass. They keep dropping balls. You can't tell they are fast, no separation. I want Petaway and Kearney in the game getting involved. Of course, I don't see practice. Yeah, we were kind of led to believe that we'd see a lot more Petaway on Saturday.
There was not a lot more Petaway.
Maybe because they lost the time of possession battle so much, and overall, like, do we remember the exact number of offensive plays that they had? It couldn't have been a ton, right? But we're coming out of that game saying, well, why didn't Tatum get more carries? Why didn't Petaway get more targets? Why didn't this guy get more involved? They got to get this guy more involved. I think that could be a product of they had so many 3-and-outs. The time of possession was so crap. They didn't have enough plays to get everyone involved, which is not an ideal situation.
I mean, your leading receiver on Saturday night was Deion Burks, who had 9 catches, but those 9 catches went for a grand total of 53 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler
didn't get loose,
and I don't think anybody else caught more than 3 passes. So, not a good night in the passing game.
No,
not a good night. No real way to sugarcoat any of what happened through the air for Oklahoma.
Again, I'm just surprised that their inability to hit on big plays. Brennan Thompson had the 33-yarder. That was the longest play of the night. But outside that, you didn't have another play over 30 yards. They can't hit on the big play. They're not hitting on balls down the field. And if that continues, man, if they're not able to hit the deep ball and stretch the defense, and this offense continues to not be able to find a rhythm, I mean, at some point they're going to have to hit on some deep balls down the field to stretch out a defense a little bit. Because if you can't run the ball, if you can't block things up front, and you can't throw the ball downfield, man, that really, really makes it tough on your offense. Really tough.
Yoda on the text line asked,
I can't wait for this.
Blocked am I? No, Yoda, you're not blocked. We would never block you. As Tyler mentioned earlier, we've had probably close to 300 texts so far this hour.
Let me get
so
the
it's
exact
just,
number.
Yeah, it's just impossible. It's impossible to get to them all. We're trying.
The exact number, okay, we've hit the top of the hour now. We got 315 that hour. Nice job, guys. I'm sure that number could look similar throughout the rest of the 3 hours of the day. 2-star Chris in Chicago. Hey, Sooner offense here. When is the Houston game? That's very nice, Chris. Very nice.
Well done. That's a text of the day candidate. A 405 listener says, and Seth Luttrell keeps running it up the middle on first down.
Their offensive, their success on first downs is not very, it's not great right now. I mean, the first play of the game really kind of told you everything that you needed to know. What did that play lose 7 yards? They lose 7 yards on the first play, 6 yards on the first play of the game. Yeah. 1-star Eric, the Mets fan. So if no Cortez Mills, who do we go after, Parker?
Well, I've addressed this before, Eric. I don't necessarily think OU goes after anybody. I don't necessarily think they have to find somebody to replace Cortez Mills in the class. And keep in mind, last year in the 2024 cycle, they had 5 receivers committed for a long, long time. And then at the end, they more or less told Dozie Ezekama to go find somewhere else, and he did. And they only signed 4. I think the same could happen this time around with Cortez Mills. Because you don't need to take 5 receivers. Cortez Mills himself, like that, he was the 5th commit at wide receiver, and he was a luxury. Oklahoma has a great wide receiver class as is, and as I've said before, long before there were ever rumors of him decommitting, I like Emmanuel Choice and Elijah Thomas better than Cortez Mills anyway. I think Choice and E.T. are going to be a certified dudes when they get to Norman. And then you throw in Marcus Harris and Grayson Harris. That tandem. Yeah, Emmett Jones doesn't need to go find another receiver. He could if he wanted to, and maybe he will, but he doesn't have to.
Gunny says the offensive game plan might have been in vanilla packaging, but it was something that looks more like soft-served chocolate.
Okay.
Says that on the YouTube chat. He also wants to know, or he says, big OU fan here, when will the offense show up? Hopefully Saturday. It better show up on Saturday. And when I posted on the KREF account yesterday that OU is a 14.5-point favorite against Tulane, Oh, my goodness, the responses on that one. What? We're not even going to score 14. What are you talking about? I'm sure Vegas saw a lot of action from OU fans taking Tulane plus 14.5 on that one.
I tend to believe the offense will be much better this weekend. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But it's hard to envision that they could be as bad as they were or anywhere close to it this past weekend.
Just to get some good things out, we got a minute left in the show here, so this is where we'll get to the positive side of things. Believer in the defense. I know they haven't faced two elite offenses, but I feel like that defense is good. And they'll get a better test against Tennessee and against Texas for sure. I'm hoping the offense can at least put the defense in situations to be really good against Tennessee and Texas, right? But I like what I've seen. I mean, the defense won you the game on Saturday, so I think you have to like what you've seen up to this point. It's your best side of the football. It's not even close. How quickly things have changed. You go from, please, just a competent defense, we could win the national championship, to now, please, just an offense that can be some sort of efficient. Imagine what we could do with this defense. 2 ships passing in the night or something with this.
Imagine waking up from a 3-year coma and looking at this OU football team. It's unrecognizable from the OU football that we knew and at the time loved in 2021.
The Rush is coming up next. We'll talk about this game for 3 more hours.
Boy.
Keep it locked on the Ref.